First question, part 1, you have read this article already. You have to identify the measure. As I said, the if is a typo. So identify the measure implemented in figure 1.1 to manage disaster risk. What is the command word? What did I ask you to do? Identify. Identify means give me the name. So what's the name of the measure here? Monitoring and warning system. Well, you got one mark already. Monitoring and warning system. Now, if you want to be even more specific, what are they monitoring and warning? Tsunami. Okay, so tsunami will not give you extra marks, but you show people that you are very clear, lor. You don't anyhow put anything. You really read through and know that it's tsunami, not earthquake or volcano. Okay, next question for 3 marks. Explain how the measure identified A part 1. So this one can strengthen community resilience if it's implemented effectively. So if it's done properly, how can it strengthen community resilience? So what's the command word that you're supposed to do? Explain. So explain means must give me the steps. Okay. So how the measure can identify, can strengthen. So I must look at this. Just now you tell me, how do you show that there's community resilience? The community can what? Community can and return to their normal lives. So this is the last mark I must see. Then I know that you have answered the question. Okay? Geography, half the ideas for answering is in the question 1. You just need to unpack it. Then how do I get the other 2 marks? First step, what must you do? Describe. You must unpack and give me details. What is the measure? Okay? Then what does it lead to? That will then lead to this one. Can recover quickly. Your notes have everything. You just need to adjust. Okay? Questions over? Know what to do? Can this when I told you APC, R4B, this is what I mean. You plan beforehand what to write. Then you check, have you answered the question or not? Okay, last part, do you answer about question community resilience? If you do, then go and write. Okay, as you plan, I don't need you to write out all this. But in your head, this must happen to check whether is it coherent or not. Can I move on? Copy ready? Today, this one I purposely put more explain questions because that's your weakness. Okay, if you can conquer explain questions well, plus your strengths in other questions, you all will beat 90% of people in Singapore already. Yes. N-level students explain is a very weak one. The content not there some more. So it's very easy for you to get your A's. Okay, can I move on? Done, Next question. With reference to figure 1.1. Reference to figure 1.1 means what? You better use information from there. Okay? You don't write your answer about monitoring and warning system in general. It must be specific to figure 1.1. So figure 1.1 is about where? Indonesia and tsunami, right? So you better talk about Indonesia and tsunami. You don't go and talk about Indonesia and volcano. You don't talk about Indonesia and earthquake. You don't talk about Japan and earthquake and Japan and tsunami. Don't talk about those. Focus on Indonesia and tsunami. So whatever you have learned, you must tweak it to answer this question. Okay? What's the command word? Ethan, what's the command word? Same alphabet as your name. Yeah, then what's the word? Explain. Yes, explain means give me the steps. So explain why the measure. Okay, which is what you have identified, the tsunami risk, whatever, has limited effectiveness in reducing disaster risk. What do you mean by limited effectiveness? Not effective exactly. Limited means not good. Very little only. Only help very little. That means overall not helpful at all. Okay? Like I tell you, your homework, what you have done is very limited. That means what you have done is too little, not helpful. Okay? So this is the last point, limited effectiveness in reducing disaster risk. So disaster risk, what must I talk about? You all tell me just now. DID. So not effective in reducing means that there is more or less high. Thus, there is still high deaths, injuries, and disaster. Sorry, that it still leads to. And damage, sorry, not disaster, damage. So this is the last mark, the fourth mark, to show that it is about disaster risk. Oh, sorry, risk means high chance. I forgot to put in a few words. Still a high chance. Sorry, Sorry. Okay. Then how? 4 mark only done 3 mark, right? How? First mark go to what? First mark is standard one. You must tell me more about the measure, right? Okay, so first one, you tell me details about measure, especially the things that lead to ineffective. Okay, so don't need to tell me what make it work. Like you can detect how fast, whatever. No need. Now the question is asking us about why is it not effective. So focus on the things that make it not effective. Like for example, too expensive, right? Or needs a lot of financial and technical resources. Okay? So as a result, what does it lead to? Especially for Indonesia, because the question asks about Indonesia, right? And then what does it lead to? That will then lead to the last one. High chance of death, injuries, and damage. Okay? So as you can see, based on question analysis alone, even if I forget the middle two parts from the question, I can still squeeze out the first and last mark. Okay, so explanation question, you cannot fail one because you can still get at least 2 out of 4. You just need to analyze the question properly. Okay? Most students, especially the 4N students, are very good at this. Once they can know the start and end, they can think logically what happened in the middle one. Okay? Most of you are very good at this. It's just whether you lack confidence or not. Question? Can I give you 1 minute to copy down before you look at the essay? Okay, looks like most of you are done copying. Can I move on to the essay? Yeah, essay, don't worry. Essay, most of you actually, so far from WA, right, can do. But why didn't you get a mark? Because you never explained properly to the question. Okay, so now you have been looking at how to explain. Make sure you don't make the same mistake this time. Now, let's analyze first. What are the 2 sides I must talk about? If I agree, what must I talk about? Land use planning. Okay? So I can agree that land use planning can be effective in strengthening community resilience. Copy the question, effective in strengthening community resilience. Okay, then you give me your details, at least 2 to 3 points. What is this about? What is land use planning in the context of managing disasters? Okay, because if you ask your Sec 2 juniors, you ask them what's land use planning, they'll talk about housing. Okay, but here we are looking at disaster management. Okay? And then you go on to explain. That will be the first paragraph. Okay? This agree side, what do you talk about? Let me get someone to try to share. Harry got the enlightenment. So what do you want to talk about this agree side? So agree side I talk about land use planning, right? This agree side, what do I talk about? Monitoring and warning system. Okay? So I can, however, how do you start the sentence? However, I can disagree. New paragraph, alright? As monitoring and warning system can also be effective in strengthening. Okay, then at least 2 to 3 points of details about what this is about. Okay, I already give you some warm-ups in the previous page already, yeah? Is it too small? Can you see now? Then say lah, why you suffer in silence? I don't understand. You're scared I see on you, is it? Okay? Both paragraphs you need to explain. Right? After you give the details for agree side, you must explain. You give details for disagree side, you must explain. Explain to what? Based on question. To show that they are what? Strengthening community resilience, right? So what is strengthening community resilience? Just now you tell me. The last point. Can what? Narrow down further. We went through this just now here. Recover. Okay? Okay, so you need to, every paragraph you must explain, this makes it effective in strengthening community resilience. Because what happened? Okay, what happened next? What happened next? Thus, it can recover more quickly. I'll give you a hint. It's all in your notes, And don't forget to give me examples also, A specific place, okay? Okay, so the essay don't need to be a lot. A lot of you for WA, you write a lot. Okay? There's nothing wrong, but what happens that most of you forgot to explain to the question. That's why you're stuck at L1. If you do this properly with the details for agree side, L2 already. 3 marks. You do it for both sides with examples, L3 5. Then just conclude, 6 marks already. Okay, so the crucial problem for many of you in WA1 was the explanation. You didn't explain back to the question. That's why you're stuck at L1. Alright? You want me to do conclusion? Or you can do conclusion yourself? This not means what can do yourself or you want me to go through? Go through. So let's compare which is more effective then. Okay? Land use planning, you reduce exposure of vulnerability. You move people away from the hazard zone, right? You reduce exposure. So that means the hazard will not reach them. Monitoring and warning, you don't move people. Hazard come ready, you give them advance warning to run away. But the buildings are still left behind. So who has more damage and more likely to have more DID? Monitoring, right? And therefore, if I have more DID, it's harder to recover, isn't it? I already give you the hint for this one already. You don't know what to explain already. Okay, so therefore, which one is likely to can recover more quickly then? Then spending. Okay, so in conclusion, land use planning. I go back answer the question. How far do you agree? So I largely agree. Always largely because you don't fully 100% agree. What? Okay, so this is because okay, done. Well, that will be very short. 2 sentences. There's another logic that you all can use. Whichever logic, as long as it makes sense, we'll still give the mark 1. Okay? Some of you actually said this in mid-year. No, in WA2. If I do land use planning, I don't need other things. Right? That's why it's more effective. Why? What's the question, Ting Xiang? Oh, strengthens. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, done. Either way is fine. Okay? So as long as it's logical, we give you the conclusion marks. Again, conclusion, just compare. You don't go and repeat the whole essay, which what some people do. Okay? Focus on comparing, using the logic to compare. Either scale of impact or causation. With A, you don't need B, or without A, B cannot happen, that kind of thing. Okay, if you're done, you can use the time to start your homework so there's less to do at home. The essay, please write on foolscap paper, don't squeeze inside here, not possible. Okay, when you are doing the questions, just clarify.